It's the SKOR North Twins Show.
Baseball.
One step forward and 3 steps back for the Minnesota Twins over the weekend in Atlanta, coming off, maybe a season-saving series win over the Mets. Then they go to Atlanta. Friday night debacle. Saturday, Sunday. Doesn't matter.
Where are we at on the Dex plan right now?
Oh, we were sitting pretty. We were sitting 3-3 going into that series, baby. So let's see here. Let's update this. So I can go 0-3 on this. So they are 3-6 on the Dex plan. They have to win every single game the rest of the way to get 9-6.
Good luck with that.
I gave them 6 losses in the Dex plan 1.0 against the Tigers, Mets, Braves, Sox, and Angels. So if they sweep the White Sox, which actually, like, even with how bad the Twins are, isn't completely out of the question, and then they just have to sweep the Angels, and the Dex plan hit. The Dex plan hit.
Let's go.
Here we go.
Let's go, Twins.
They just got swept by a team that entered the series with 5 wins. That's my favorite.
Yeah, but that Braves team was supposed to be good, and now they are. Now they're back on track.
Angels are actually playing improved.
They're playing better ball.
The White Sox still suck. Unfortunately,
No, the White Sox won a game.
So did the Twins.
Yesterday or 2 days ago? They won a game.
I think
they
won
weekend.
yesterday. I think they did win yesterday.
Yeah.
But they're still terrible.
In fact, the White Sox are just a game and a half back of the Twins here. Inspiration.
That fact is not a compliment to the Twins. It's the fact that they are in the same bin right now as the White Sox.
Yeah. Are people pretty much just tuning into the SKOR North Twins Show today to hear us bury and crucify this team? Is that like there's like the real ambulance chasers right now are like, oh, this guy's gonna.
What's interesting is I think last Monday's Twins last Monday's episode and Thursday's episode, which were 2 polar opposites. One of being, is the season basically over, was the first one. And then Thursday being, did they save their season? Those were very well received on the SKOR North Twins Show YouTube channel and our podcast feeds, which was awesome to hear. So let's see where this one, I guess, is received. I can tell you, you can just ride higher on angst on the SKOR North Twins Show, like you can ride higher on Underdog. Baseball is back on Underdog. You can ride higher or lower on RBI, hits, strikeouts, etc. Plus, they have some special promos going on for just the NBA playoffs. You can take a baseball pick, and you can also use it in the NBA. PGA is also one of my favorite things to get an Underdog. If you're new to it, new users still get a deposit match when you sign up with promo code SKOR. That's SKOR. So go sign up with Underdog. It's on the App Store. It's on the Google Play Store. On your phone, laptop, doesn't matter. Promo code SKOR for a deposit match. All right, here's your state of the Twins. They're 7-15 on the season. They are in 4th place in the AL Central. They are 6 games back in the Central. They're 5 games back of a wild card spot. So I got that going for you. Some key categories here. Offense. We'll start with offense. They're 26th in runs scored per game. They're 27th in team OPS. They are tied for 13th. With runners in scoring position. So you put them on, not the worst thing.
Yeah.
Not the worst thing.
I wonder how much of that is due exclusively to Byron Buxton scoring every time he gets on base this season.
They also were a combined 0 for 15 in such cases on Friday and Saturday. So
right. Yeah.
That sort of brought that down.
Pitching categories. They're 16th in team ERA. Their starter ERA is 19th. Their bullpen ERA is 15th. They have just 4 quality starts on the season. Only 2 other teams, I believe, have less quality starts. The Yankees are actually one of those teams, but they can figure out how to win with, dynamic offense and other things. Playoff odds. The Twins' playoff odds are down to 8.3% to make the playoffs, according to Baseball Reference. That is down 13.6% in the last 7 days. And just like Chicago and Colorado, they now have less than a 0.1% chance to win the World Series, according to Baseball Reference.
Wow. When you're lumped in with the Rockies.
And the Sox.
Yeah. I believe the Rockies, have they won 3 games this season? It's something
they are 4-17.
Okay, it's something ridiculous.
4-17. Yeah, they've already been outscored by 51 runs on the season, which is by double the worst in baseball.
Rise as one.
Rise as one. Speaking of that, Twins vibes. What are the Twins vibes, Judd? Do you want to start us off here? What do you got for a vibe check for us?
Oh boy, unfortunately, I've got the word despondent. They're despondent. They're despondent in the clubhouse. Post game, Baldelli was talking about, I believe it was after the game on Sunday, about the fact that you can't play worried. His whole thing was you can't play worried. What happened your last at bat or what happened on Saturday if it's Sunday doesn't matter. So he feels like his team is playing with, and I don't blame them, great concern. That series to me, so the despondent is because of this. That series to me was defined, the Braves one, on Friday night, right? You got a lead. You're playing pretty well. You got the lead. Griffin Jax comes in. You got to slam the door, baby, right? You got to slam that door. Best bullpen in baseball, as we were trying to say it might be before the season. You got a chance to win game one. And quite frankly, I think if you win game one, the rest of the series probably unfolds differently, but it doesn't. Griffin Jax implodes again. He's off to an awful start. So yeah, it's despondent. Like you won 2 or 3 against the Mets. You said, oh, hey, here we come. Despondent is a very, very sad word to use, but I think it's accurate right now.
Yeah, real quick on Griffin Jax, and I'm probably getting into some of the other categories here, but Griffin Jax has now allowed 10 earned runs in the 8 innings and 16 base runners in the 8 innings. And this is like high leverage stuff here, man. This is not 6th inning down 5-2 cleanup stuff. This is he is meant to be one of your 2 highest leverage relievers. And you combine that with Jorge Alcala getting off to a terrible start too. It's like 2 of the key guys in that bullpen with some of the best stuff are just getting pounded to start the year. I'm going to say Twins vibes are cooked. They are cooked. And the 8.3 postseason percentage is indicative of that. It does leave a ray of hope in that, hey, okay, 8 out of 100 times you still make the playoffs. And I heard a bunch of people, I was on Twitter this weekend checking in on Twins Twitter, and a couple people reminded me of the 2006 Twins that were at various points 8 to 10 games below 500. Even in like early June, that team was way below 500. And then they went on this historical run. They were like 90-53 or like 8. They had some crazy run. By the way, for the Twins this year, to if they want to finish with 90 wins here, so they're 7-15. The math is 83-57 the rest of the way to get to 90 wins. 83-57. And in today's playoff structure, you might win the division with 90. You probably get a wild card spot, but do you look at this team and say, yeah, that's an 83-57 run waiting to happen? Because people have thrown the 2006 Twins comparison out. Hey, it can happen. 8% chance it can happen. And I would just say, if you're too young to remember the 2006 Twins, or if you need a refresher, because it's almost 20 years ago now, that was one of the most stacked rosters in the history of Twins baseball. It was wild and inexplicable that they were even that far under 500 2 months into the year, with the 2 best starting pitchers in baseball, Johan Santana, Francisco Liriano, plus the old veteran Brad Radke. You had one of the 2 best closers in baseball in Joe Nathan, and a great bridge with Juan Rincon and whoever, JC Romero, whoever else was on that late inning bridge. Plus, you had Joe Mauer batting champion, Justin Morneau, who hadn't quite like flipped the switch until like June of that year, but then the light bulb goes on. MVP Justin Morneau. You had Gold Glove and power hitter Torrey Hunter. You had some of the best infield defense in the entire league with Nick Punto at third base. You had Michael Kadire emerging into his prime. And I'm missing some guys here too, but I get it. If you're looking for some optimism, you could go back and look at the 2006 Twins and talk yourself into, well, if that team could do it. This roster does not compare to that roster. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. There's no Johan. There's no Liriano. There's no Joe Mauer, Justin Morneau right now, unless Carlos Correa snaps out of it to a big, big extent. And he's showing some flashes. So, I believe the record. You can't win a division in April, but the Twins definitely lost it. So, cooked.
Yeah, my vibes are they're unserious. I think that's probably a word one of the three of us have used over the last few weeks, but it's unserious at this point. The fact that you were able to rebound and get a really nice series win against the Mets. You had the off day finally after playing a bunch of string of games. You have another off day today, obviously, before playing the Sox and the Angels. You go down to Atlanta, and yeah, I mean, maybe this just dovetails right into my least favorite thing, but like Griffin Jax, dude, like you have to be better. And this is where bullpen arms are just so volatile, and projecting that they're just going to be elite year after year is kind of ridiculous. And so Griffin Jax 3 separate times this year went back and did this, found the game flow and the win probability, etc. So Griffin Jax has entered the game with a 92, 94, and 93% chance for the Twins to win the game when he has entered this season. Wow. 3 different times. 3 different times you're winning this game. About 9.5 out of 10 times a team wins this game. Now, in one of those instances, the Mets game, the Twins did come back and win in extra innings. But regardless, a 3-run spot just evaporates against the Astros, which was a collective kind of loss. But still, you are 3 outs away from winning a series and kind of saving their season. Nope, you lose to Houston. Against Atlanta, you'll again allow 5 runs. And this is where it flips, man. Like, Johan Duran might not be throwing 104 anymore. Duran looks great. Like, Duran was shaky last year, right? Like, Griffin Jax, by the end, leapfrogged Duran in terms of just like overall trust and highest leverage situation. Now you have Griffin Jax, who can't even protect a 3-run lead. He might be getting batted to death. There's a lot of high batting average on balls in play against him. But you have to have your number 1, if not number 2 guy close and bridge these games for you. So Griffin Jax responsible for at least 3 of these just horrific losses. And now you're really looking up at the standings. This best bullpen in baseball, throw that term away. It's not even close. So Griffin Jax is, from my vibe and my least favorite thing, is definitely the thing that's on the top of my mind today.
And he didn't pitch, so I feel like if you're scuffling, but the team still has faith in your abilities, and this happened previously with him, you're brought back, right? Like you pitch on Sunday or something. Like now he's not pitching, and I just wonder what the plan is here, because like this is not now, given the importance of the situations in which they've entrusted him, this is not now like, oh, it's a small sample size. Like they got to get him back on track, and because you can't continue to parade him out there and blow games against the Mets. Yes, they came back to win, but he blew that game. And then that Braves game on Friday, to me, complete debacle. So yeah, that's an interesting one, because now there is concern. But I do love what you also brought up, Dex, which is Duran throwing great to me is a very, very good sign.
Yeah, it's a good sign for his value.
That's why I'm saying it's a good. Well, did you think I was concerned about him with the Twins? That's
so. I'll give you my least favorite thing. My least favorite thing is all the hand-wringing that everyone does to try and figure out, okay, how can we salvage this era of Twins baseball? Which, credit to Aaron Gleeman, I feel like after every game he's updating this team was playing at like a 90 or 95 win pace for 2/3 of last season, and then inexplicably tanked and carried it over into this year. They're playing at like a 50 win pace now over a large sample dating back to just after the All-Star break, or like August of last season.
August 17th in Texas.
Yeah, so like middle of August. And so that's a month and a half. Okay, wow, that was a bad, and let's just flush that off season. Well, now it's another month. So now we're talking it's like 2.5 months of just absolute putrid baseball. And now Duran's an interesting one, because he's still only 27 years old and under team control for 3 more years.
Oh yeah.
So in a perfect world, you'd love to hang on to him going through. But as I said a couple weeks ago, I'm already looking ahead to, even if this team goes on a run, what do we like? Someone just tweeted at me here that hey, like the Tigers are projected to win the division at 84 wins, and so like if you could just kind of get back into it, I'm done with that hand wringing. I would look at every single player on this team, 28 years old and older, that has any sort of value, and you're not going to be able to trade them all. But I would rip that Band-Aid off. And you know what? It could also help you as you're looking to right-size your business still before you sell it, Pohlad family. You could save some payroll the second half of the year, potentially, by trading some of these guys. Yes. Everyone who is 28 years old or older is on audition to go to a new baseball team. And if they have no trade clauses like Carlos Correa, and that's a complicated one because he makes a lot of money and there's a major injury risk, and it's not as simple as just trading him.
Right.
But you are auditioning for your next baseball team, and I would get as much talent as possible that's under the age of 25. Yep. I would be bad because you're going to be bad. I mean, you're already bad, so what's the difference? And by the way, the attendance this week is going to be super interesting with the White Sox coming to town middle of the week. Oh, my gosh.
Well, heritage franchise. I don't know what you're talking about.
But my least favorite thing is like the hand-wringing of how can we 84, 85 wins? No, just confront the reality that has been staring at you since the middle of August last year and push forward into some major changes over the next 2 or 3 months.
But that's your in the same breath favorite thing too, I think, because like you have, and here's the thing I'd like to warn against though, because I can feel it coming from the Twins fans or certain fans. The majority of them are pissed off now and don't care. But anyway, for those that still care, I can hear about, oh yeah, you should trade Ty France. You should trade. They're going to go through a list of veterans, okay? Which I'm with you. You should trade them. But when we're talking about heading towards the deadline and getting real value back, like
franchise impacting value, yes.
Bingo.
Joe Ryan needs to be traded.
That's Duran. Joe Ryan, but I'm saying don't say I agree with you guys. We should trade guys, and let's start with the Ty Frances of the world and Harrison Baders. I'm not saying don't trade them. I don't really care, but the reality is they're not going to get you impactful franchise players back. Joe Ryan is, Duran is, and in some ways, I hate to say this because it sounds so bad, but it's true. It's the one thing that I feel like I have left from this season is trading guys to get
the hope of stripping it down before the deadline. Yeah.
Like I hate to say it, but like what's the hope here? I saw tweets last night about this one. Well, the 91 Twins got off to a bad start.
That's another one, yeah. 06 and 91. They were bad.
Are you bleeping serious? We're talking about the 91 Twins? Come on. So my favorite thing though is also the prospect of and I want to see how Falvey handles it too. I want to see how he handles it. Do you have the intestinal fortitude to do what you should do? Because he has not proven that yet. And this to me is absolutely, I don't see a way out other than what you just talked about, Phil.
The difference this time around, I think, because they have not gone into they've had some really bad seasons at Target Field. None of them were technically rebuild seasons. Because even like after like 2011 through 2014, they were trying to win. They were Mauer's coming back healthy, and Morno's over the concussions, and they'll go sign Irvin Santana and Ricky Nolasco, and Carlos Correa and Mike Pelfrey, and you kind of knew going into the year that they're not going to be good, but it certainly wasn't a strip it down, trade a bunch of good players. They haven't done that in decades. I mean, they throughout the early 2000s, they were one of the best teams in baseball from 2001 through, and then they moved into Target Field, and they felt kind of an obligation, despite what fans might say.
Yep.
And so they're kind of confronting, in my opinion, a crossroads that they haven't had to face since the early part of like the 2000s or late 90s, maybe, where they were just, and then they went with the full youth movement in 2000, 2001, and those guys all popped together. But if you have, like I mentioned, people are going to freak out. Like Joe Ryan has 3 years of team control, and Duran has 3 years of team control left, 27 years old. Are you going to be competing for a World Series realistically in the next couple years? I mean, unless a bunch of ifs turn into guarantees like Carlos Correa and Byron Buxton and Royce Lewis, the answer is no. So the best thing you can do is get ahead of the rebuilding process by getting value for your players that are in their primes. And there's nothing to lose because no one's coming to the games anyways. It's not like, oh my God, the early days of Target Field, they were literally sitting in boardrooms saying, we know we're going to be bad in like 2012, but we still have 30,000 people buying tickets to this new stadium. So let's at least go spend $40 million on Ricky Nolasco and some guys to make it look like we're maybe going to compete. Phil Hughes, right? That's gone. Yeah. There's going to be 10,000 people at this White Sox game. Maybe they'll surprise me and get to 18,000. So they're just in a different spot than they've been for like 20 or 25 years.
Mm-hmm. And, not to defend, but if you're trying to right size your business, do you really want to give contract extensions to Joe Ryan and Duran and overpay for these guys? Not even overpay, just give them a lot of money. Like, I think Joe Ryan's a really good pitcher. If wipe a slate clean, I would love to extend Joe Ryan for any team that wants to have him. But do you really want to do that and then also still have this great prospect pool? And maybe this is a transition in a bit to the favorite thing, but like you have Luke Keaschall, he comes up, tears the cover off the ball the first weekend of the series, right? We know this guy can hit. You're touting out your farm system. That youth movement that happened 25 years ago with the 01 and 2002 Twins started because you had guys that were finally coming up in Minkiewicz and Torrey Hunter, et cetera.
Yeah.
So instead of just saying, well, we have a chance here, let's ride it out. I think my bigger question, though, is what happens first? Do they start the fire sale or do they let go of Baldelli and then start the fire sale?
It feels like the Baldelli lever is like the first one to pull, right? To see.
Yeah, it has to be.
You pull that lever, I don't know, you're probably going to take at least 2 or 3 from the White Sox. But obviously, if you don't, then you probably have to pull that lever this week if you think you can salvage the season. But then beyond that, because the deadline stuff doesn't start to happen until June anyway, so we're like a month and a half early on this conversation.
Right, and on Joe and Duran, you probably want to walk them up to the deadline itself to create that urgency. Like Duran, to me, ideal fit the Cubs. The Cubs are a pretty good team. Their bullpen is gross. Like Presley's closing there, and he's way past his prime. So, and I have not checked out the Cubs prospect pool, but that to me is one where if you can get, 3 or 4 teams for a guy that can close, that's pretty attractive. The Correa one is interesting because I do agree. I think that with the way things have turned, the dude would waive his no trade clause to go to a team he likes in a heartbeat. Yeah. But here's the question on him. You're going to have to pay to get a prospect or prospects back who are actually decent. You're going to have to pay a lot of that contract. And my question is, will they do that? Because if you try to just trade him and his contract, a team is going to say, okay, we'll give you something back. I don't think it's great. So that's my question is, are they going to try to potentially, if they can, maximize the value on Correa by being willing to absorb enough of that contract back to get them a good trade, or just dump him on the cheap and take back a B prospect?
Yeah, it really depends on who is the owner, right? And it sounds like throughout this season, the Pohlads are going to be the owners anyway. So if it's a this summer discussion, then the question is, are they more interested in saving as much of that money as possible and taking almost nothing back in return, or it's already a sunk cost anyways? Why not keep a big chunk of it on the books and get an extra, if you can get 2 top 10 prospects from some team and you're just kind of paying the freight for those. But yeah, that would take a level of, you would literally have to just eat the salary of a player that you are shipping off. And I don't know that there's a ton of precedent for the Pohlads doing that.
There's not.
We can get into some of our favorite things here in the SKOR North Twins Show, but a shout out to Grandpa's Barbecue. I got some. What do we got here? I got my sweet barbecue rub. Can you just force them on the Twins? Can this?
Because they're cooked.
Because they're cooked, huh? A little extra flavors, a little QR code right there, huh? You can go to grandpasbarbecue.com to place your order. You can discover the taste and tradition of their original sauces. There's handcrafted, high-quality sauces, sweet barbecue, Mill City Steakhouse blend, Northwoods all-purpose blend. Every Twin Show listener, too, gets free shipping on orders over $40 or more. Go to grandpasbarbecueshop.com to cook the Twins. grandpasbarbecueshop.com to place those orders.
Hey, also, so we are, over the next few weeks, looking to raise some awareness for an important cause. Suicide affects the construction industry quite a bit. And we can all play a part in saving lives and make a difference for those who build our communities by hiking on Saturday, May 31st at Legends Crossings at Viking Lakes in Eagan. You can help spread awareness and understanding and send the message that help is available and raise funds for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Join for the Construction Hike for Hope by visiting afsp.org/MN Construction. That's afsp.org/MN Construction.
Baseball.
All right, favorite Twins thing. Judd, do you have a favorite Twins thing?
Don't all jump at once.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I said it. It's the equity. It's the guys that you have to be looking to trade. And I do think that there is, and I know that he certainly has his defenders, but I do think that there is something to be said about Baldelli's job and just trying something. Here's what I fear. I fear that they are, in their own little minds, waiting for Royce to come back too. Like, once Royce comes back, it might change. Come on. Not going to happen.
Just starting late running.
I know.
Right?
And I'm just telling you what I fear. But my favorite thing is, I do think, if nothing else, Rocco's message has just been so tuned out. It certainly is not all his fault, but firing him at least would cause me to at least say, oh, they actually are paying attention, because right now it's hard to be sure that they are.
Luke Keaschall is he deserves a spotlight here. He comes up and he's raking in his first 3 games, some extra base hits. So yeah, Luke Keaschall, he's been the real deal at every level coming up, only 22 years old. And yeah, he's kind of part of the next wave, the next, if ideally, right, 5, 6, 7 years, he's one of the top 100 prospects in baseball. So credit to Luke Keaschall, former second-round pick out of Arizona State, showing out.
Yeah.
As they chase him up with DH, they're trying to work him back in defensively after the injury last year.
Yeah, same thing. And this is where you lean into some of this stuff, right? Like Emmanuel Rodriguez, if he continues to stay healthy, he's struggling a little bit offensively, but still, a little early in the AAA season. You have Zebby Matthews, who eventually is going to get here. I mean, if Chris Paddock keeps shoving, you talk about another trade piece, huh? Back-to-back solid starts for Chris Paddock. You got that going for you, too.
Sheriff.
So, I mean, Keaschall's coming up was encouraging. And then if they do indeed, whether it's more in July or August, which is realistic, start the fire sale, I am encouraged by the prospect pool that they do have, but I understand that that's not going to immediately put butts in the seats at Target Field. That's a long play. Long-term play.
Yeah, because they would, but if they became exciting, and this would probably be more of a optimistically a 2026 thing. But Keaschall there was a time recently, last trade deadline, where we were sitting here, I think rightfully so, based on where that team was at, saying you should probably trade Luke Keaschall to get something in here that can help you, fortify your pitching staff, whatever it may be. And now you've completely flipped around your viewpoint going into the trade deadline.
If they fire Rocco, do they promote Tingler, which, by the way, would be like a fart in church? I don't think Pete. Or do you bring Toby in from St. Paul?
Wow,
Toby Gardenhire.
Old Tobes.
There'd be some interest, the fans would. They would care a little bit.
They'd promote Tingler because you would be doing it to spark the current team.
Yeah,
he has experience with the Padres.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not a terrible idea. I don't hate that idea, but it'd be Tingler most likely. That just is the interim guy, and then you start a full search, and Toby would probably be part of that search, part of the interviews. He was around these guys, so I mean, it's not completely out of the question. But I wonder too. I mean, what do they want to look for in that next manager? I know it's a little preliminary, but if they fire Rocco and then we're having a discussion, 6 months from now in the off season, what does that next manager look like? Are they still looking for a similar type of manager like Rocco? Do they want to change things up? It's kind of an interesting predicament they're in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as long as Falvey is overseeing operations, and I get that he has sort of gone up to 30,000 feet more with this promotion, I don't think they want a cavalier sort of free thinking manager. I don't know. I know Toby from his playing days, never sat in a dugout with him as a manager, but you're going to want someone that aligns with your analytical department and the
right.
Just kind of you're not hiring a Ron Gardenhire to do what he wants to do on game day, right? And a lot of teams are like that in 2025.
And then, of course, the big question becomes, how long is Derek around if and when the team gets sold? Like, there's a ton of potential moving parts here.
Yep.
Because you don't know that.
Huge question. Yep. Go Twins.
Go
That's
Twins.
all I got for you.
Extra innings episodes coming at you from Target Field this week. White Sox, Angels, plenty of great stuff. Judd, I don't think Judd will be sitting next to me for any of those games this week. Maybe the Angels.
Oh, the Halos, yeah. Little Mike Trout in right field.
Yeah.
Ron
See it.
Washington. Oh, yeah. No, I love the Angels. I'm a big Angels guy.
Hit the like button, though, and subscribe button here on the SKOR North Twin Show YouTube channel. 5-star rating on Apple and Spotify. Appreciate you guys. We'll be talking at you soon.